I've done it. I've reached the mountaintop. I have ascended. Or at least that's what we're supposed to think, I guess. But yes, I have reached rank 11 with Guardian ranks as of season 20, Season of Defiance. It is the highest rank you can get within the system. And so I want to share a little bit of my thoughts, just really quick and dirty. Not going to be like some of my other videos. Just want to kind of share some thoughts because we've already touched on this topic a couple times already. And so, yeah, just would love to hear from other folks about your experience now that alongside myself, other folks are reaching rank 10 and rank 11, the so-called advanced ranks within Guardian rank system. And yeah, I just want to kind of share some reflections on where I'm at with the system and kind of what it's been like so far. I think one of the first things to just, flat out address is that elephant in the room, or maybe not if you follow the channel, but I am, I am no secret critic to this system. I have put out many tweets and many videos at this point addressing my thoughts and concerns about this system, what it would look like, and how it would play out. I can honestly say at this point, if I started off at level 10 in terms of my criticism, I'd say right around now, I think I'm settling in at a criticism level of 7.5. This does not absolve Bungie at all of all the critics I have, because the majority of my criticisms for the system still hold true, both on what I predicted was going to happen and did happen, but also some of the things we're continuing to see now. And so one of those pieces, just to go ahead and dive in, is the fact that with the rank 11 system, the core foundation was that it was supposed to be a test of skill. And so I have talked about my original thoughts on that and how I just thought, it really wasn't going to be a test of skill. And then now that I've gotten to rank 11 requires that I do solo dungeons, that I've done master dungeon, that I've done master raids, that I've been able to get commendations, but I'm not including commendations really in my reflections because it's pretty faux pas. It's really irrelevant. But all the things I've been able to do in game, both in terms of I've done every raid in the game so far. I've completed all of the things up to this point. What I'm really feeling as of right now, as it pertains to Bungie's own goals, their own stated goals, that they think Guardian rank should be able to be a system where people see a Guardian's rank and can be able to assess their skill in game. I would say 85%. Yes, that is correct. I think as we're seeing people kind of, again, this is no critique to those people, but as we're seeing people start to stall out at rank 8, stall out at rank 9, even rank 10, where as you're getting higher in the ranks, you do have to do encounters that are more difficult. Master lost sectors, solo and solo flawless, being able to do the master raid in dungeons, so on and so forth, where again, some of them are just not going to be achievable with solo players, which to a certain extent is not okay, but also it's understandable because you do need a fire team for a lot of these achievements, but then also they're just difficult encounters regardless of how many times people want to say Destiny is easy. The core fact that like these things are still challenging, you can say that. Easy or hard, I feel like it's too black and white. I think there's a little bit more nuance to these activities because you can have the best build in the world, but if you don't know how to like play your life, play cover, or whatever the case may be, you're still gonna fail when you try and do a solo flawless master lost sector, so for me, when we get to the point of assessing skill, I will give it to Bungie. This is probably one of the bigger reasons why I'm bringing my criticism level down from a 10 to a 7.5 is because as we go through these pieces, I think some of the concerns about like everyone's just going to be able to do everything, it's going to be super cheesy, some of those criticisms I have in my other videos, if you want to watch them, you can go watch them. But now I think it's pretty much leveling out where people's skill is. And I think in that regard, it is a valid system. Is there still ways to cheese things? Absolutely. It's Destiny 2. Cheesing is at the foundation of this game. But not that I promote it, but it is what it is. But ultimately, I think that it's still going to take, especially the things you have to do solo dungeon. And again, doing solo Spire is a war of attrition. You can have a really good build, even now in season 20, have a really good build, but that second boss, the final boss, it's a war of attrition. And to do that solo flawless is, it's again, it's not a walk in the park. It's achievable, but not a walk in the park. And so again, just kind of rounding out that point. Then when we're talking about skill, I think to a degree, we can say that they achieved that goal. All right, all y'all happy? I can admit when I'm wrong. I can admit when I've, was a little bit too critical. I am human. I'm not out here to be malicious. I'm here to game, learn, and grow. Okay, you happy? Okay, let's move forward. The second point that I want to kind of bring into view is the kind of perspective of a lot of community members expecting this to be a real status symbol within the community. As of right now, as of playing the game week 7 or whatever, how far we are into the season, we've now had chance for people to get to rank 10 and rank 11, and seeing that, like, some of the concerns that I have around people just kind of peacocking around, flexing their rank unnecessarily, yes, I have seen it. Again, I think a lot of folks have seen by now people putting like must be rank 9 or higher, must be rank 11, whatever case, in like LFG posts. We've seen it. It's not as prevalent as I thought it would be, so I do want to name that, but it's there. And the fact that, it was kind of predictable that some folks were going to kind of take it to that space where, oh, you have to be this rank, even though Guardian rank doesn't guarantee that you're good at every aspect of the game, right? But again, I think that's a different point. But the point being that as a status symbol, I really haven't seen it come through as strong as I thought it was, which in my book is actually a really good thing. Having something that's a flex for someone to show off in the community, I think has value and has a level of commitment and investment that it can show within the community, but also having something that's like not too flashy so you're not like being toxic with it, for me is a good balance. Now, this is all because of where we are right now in the current system with all the structures in place. We do not have Bungie's LFG feature. Remember, the LFG feature is actually more heavily supposed to incorporate the Guardian rank system so that you can actually weed people out of your LFGs in the Destiny 2 system that they're supposed to be releasing next year at this point with Guardian ranks. So as of now, where we're seeing people reach rank 10 and 11, and it's like, ooh, cool, big number, I do still hold some concerns about when we get the LFG system, how people are actually going to discriminate, heavily so, more than likely, with people who are not at those higher ranks. Again, if you don't know the update that we talked about in a previous stream, as well as in a previous video, the fact is we won't have to regrind as much in future seasons. So the fact that people can easily maintain that high rank of rank 10 or 11 going forward, and then using that rank to then be potentially discriminatory against other people is still of a high concern to me, given the fact that it's just a number. It's a test of some skill. It's not a test of all skill. And I think as a social status emblem, a kind of thing that you can show off, it's not an emblem, but just as something you can show off in the community, I think it's cool. And like, it's nice to be able to be like, ooh, I'm in an LFG with all rank 11s, or I'm in an LFG with like rank 6s. Maybe I can help them out. It's cool to me, in theory, mind you, that there can be a little bit of that dynamic where you're assessing other Guardian skills. And if you're seeing that you're high ranked than other people, maybe you play a support role. If you're seeing that you're at the same rank as other people, maybe in PvP, maybe you're playing a little bit more aggressive because you think that because of their skill level, you can trust them to be a little bit more fine-tuned in the game. All those things I think have some level of value, but without a real direction from Bungie about how we should be doing those, even them putting out like a statement of like, don't be jerks to other people because of your ranks, I think could go a long way. And Bungie's continued hands-off approach, I think, is going to set us up for a really bad positioning as a community once the LFG feature is in place. Because once we get to the place where you're able to create an LFG and you say you want to do a raid, you want to do the raid flawlessly, you want to do the raid with only XYZ rank, and in this case most people probably say only at rank 10 or rank 11, it weeds out so many people who might actually be qualified and be really good for your fire team. Which leads me to my last thought and reflection on this, is that at the core of it, we're still talking about an issue or just maybe a delay in adoption. As I said in a previous video, I know a lot of people who are currently only at rank 8, and just because they don't want to do Master Lost Sector or do the dungeon solo or do some of those things, it's not that they're not capable of doing those things, it's that they don't want to do those things, or they just don't care to, or they're not invested enough, or they don't have enough time. Their own personal interest in doing those things has a heavy factor, and them being able to pursue it, knowing that I know and game with people who are extremely skilled. I game with people of all skills, but knowing that I do have friends that I consistently game with off stream who are very skilled but are currently only like rank 8 and rank 9, and because I did a master lost sector, because I did the master raid, because I did those things and I got to rank 11 and they didn't, but we still run master raids together. We still run, you know, these high end, well, not necessarily master raids for the example, but we still run high difficulty activities successfully. So we're still running GMs together. Just because they chose not to like commit fully to the guardian ranks process, it still feels really bad to me that in a way they're kind of getting socially penalized, because the fact is, where is the actual depth of their skill being shown off just because they may not want to buy into the guardian rank system, which I believe is actually one of the core concerns I actually have going forward as we press forward to the new LFG feature that's going to come with Bungie, as we go into a new season coming up in another month. All these different factors is that at the end of the day, if the system is not compelling enough, if the incentives are not compelling enough, and if there's actually not enough social buy-in, which again, I still don't think there's enough social buy-in, I really don't feel like, my other criticisms of the system aside, that getting to rank 11, or if they choose to increase the ranks down the road, which was one of my solutions in a video I had, but not providing the accurate level, or may I say just appropriate level of push and encouragement, gentle encouragement from Bungie to have that social buy into the system beyond just a couple flappy blogs here and there. And again, I'll continue to be critical of that because I feel like Bungie has such a role to play in terms of establishing firm but fair guidelines that really push the community into a place of being positive and not being jerks about ranks, and really thinking more intentionally about even commendations, which I still don't agree with being connected to guardian ranks. But the fact is, all these systems work if there's some type of sense that, one, there's an incentive, and two, that there's going to be a boundary. Because if there's not a boundary for folks, when people are going to get to those toxic places, and that's just because the internet, because people, unfortunately, I feel like we're going to continue to rub up against these really unfortunate issues where we're going to see people continue to not trust the system in terms of guardian ranks, continue to not want to buy in, because ultimately, if we get to a place, it's my prediction, I hope it doesn't happen, but my prediction is if we get to a place where the LFG feature happens and we're seeing people discriminate against people based on their rank, no other sense of their skill, but they're like, you're not rank 11, I'm not gaming with you. And we're seeing people, okay, now I don't want to use the system. And so because people aren't using the LFG system, again, in this theory, then the system doesn't actually get accurate feedback. If the system doesn't get accurate feedback, there could be bugs, there could be other things that people could be breaking rules, for instance, and we won't be able to get that feedback to Bungie because people aren't bought enough into the system to actually provide that feedback. And it goes on and on and on from there. And so for me, as someone who likes to think about, or at least I like to think that I think about the bigger picture, for me, it's so important that Bungie actually steps in, reasserts some boundaries, helps push people in a gentle way to like really think about the guardian ranks, not commendations, to be very clear, not commendations. It needs to be a separate system. I'm not coming down from that hill. But in terms of guardian ranks themselves, really coming in and stepping in and saying, hey, it's up to all of us, regardless of your guardian rank, to be a positive community member. Until Bungie comes out with that blog, until Bungie comes out saying we're not going to tolerate people, being discriminatory, we're not going to tolerate people being toxic in these different ways. Again, we've seen a little bit if you've gone on any LFG site, and we've already started to see it. Again, it's not super prevalent, but it's there. And the fact that I fear that once we actually get a Destiny 2 embedded LFG feature, I feel like it only gets worse. And I feel like until Bungie puts their foot down and say, you know what, this is great that people can peacock if you want to peacock in a positive way, if there's a positive way to peacock, but show off what you've achieved, but don't be a jerk about it. Don't alienate other people from the game. Don't think you're better than other people because you're rank 11 and someone's rank 8. Because ultimately, if we're being honest, as a rank 11, I know that I have friends who are at my skill level, if not technically a little bit higher skill than me, and I'm fine admitting that, absolutely fine admitting that, but are just not bought into the system. And so they haven't grinded out those different achievements and triumphs to get to rank 11. Not the fact that they can't do it, it's because they don't want to do it. And for me, if we are just going to go by black and white numbers, I think overall the community suffers because there's not enough nuance to really understand what someone is bringing to the table. All in all, I think the guardian rank system was not as bad as I thought it was going to be, but also, as I've mentioned today, it's just not as compelling as it could have been either. And I think until Bungie really steps in and really honestly steps up their social quality of life efforts, again, I'm not going to comment on what they're doing because I'm sure they're doing things behind the scenes, but I do feel the social quality of life in particular are just things that they're not really listening to us. It doesn't feel like they're listening to us, and it just feels bad to be in a space where we're putting effort into these things and ultimately, you know, people could end up weaponizing being rank 10 or rank 11 into toxic things where unfortunately that's, in my opinion, not where it was meant to be. These ranks have an opportunity to give us insight, a little bit of insight, maybe not full insight, but a little bit of insight into what a guardian is capable of. And I feel that that capability, that potential energy a guardian can bring to a space and activity, that potential skill they're bringing in itself has the potential to make a situation really great or really bad. And I feel like it's one of those things at this point where Bungie needs to step in. We've had the test system. We've gotten one season, almost one full season of Guardian ranks under our belts. I feel like the community has spoken on their feedback. I've definitely spoken on my feedback, and I feel like it's time for Bungie to step in and really encourage the community to go into a positive direction going forward to avoid any potential harm that could happen in the future by stomping it out now and saying that this is a system that's helping us to be better guardians in game with our skill and also better guardians to each other with the way that we interact with one another. The power of the system has always been something that I have been in favor of and honestly in love with. The power to actually get people to like be civilized. That is something that is so attractive to me about the system, but so far I don't think it's living up to that part of its potential, and I really look forward to Bungie being able to fine tune it, hopefully step in and really push the community to think of these things as those pieces that you can show off. You can't say, hey, I got to rank 10, I got to rank 11, but not taking it too far to the level of toxicity and alienating other community members. Those are my thoughts as a rank 11 who kind of some days doesn't want to be rank 11, but we're here. I did the thing. I tried out the system. I think I gave it a fair shot, and I'm looking forward to doing my part, whatever I can to make sure that, you know, we keep things positive with this system as we go forward. If you're interested in takes like these, or if you don't like takes like these and you want some PvE helps, we do stream here on YouTube, we do stream on Twitch, and so join in on the community, join the Cloud commune. We have a pretty cool group of people on here, and whether you're rank 2 or rank 11, everyone's welcome here. And so we'd love to have you with us in our community. Follow us in our Discord, follow me on all my social media, and yeah, just be a part of the conversation. Looking forward to seeing you all next time. Peace.